Here we are.
Welcome, Erin May, my beautiful wife.
Thank you.
Today, we're starting our very first podcast.
Yay!
My name is Brent May, and my beautiful wife, Erin, is with me.
Hello.
How you doing, Erin?
I'm really good, thank you.
You doing good today?
Very good, yep.
So, we wanted to start a podcast. Erin and I have been living in Mexico for how long now?
Well, it'll be 15 years this October.
Almost 15 years in October. So, wow, what a ride it's been.
Yeah.
And over the course of this 15 years, Erin and I have been sharing information through our website, Mexico Living, mostly in the form of blog and some YouTube videos. And, you know, the idea was just to share our Mexico lives with others. Mm-hmm. Back in the day, you know, it was kind of overwhelming when we were thinking about moving to Mexico. Yep,
definitely.
Yeah, and fortunately we had some people that shared information with us. Mm-hmm. So our commitment was to pass it on to others. And, you know, basically if we can do it, you can do it too.
You can do it too, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, there's a lot of questions people are ask themselves and a lot of hurdles and frustrations they put in front of themselves with Mexico. And we definitely understand that, but, you know, it's important to know you can do it. So, you know, if we can do it, you can do it, as we say. So
that's right.
Erin, what attracted you to want to move to Mexico?
Well, you.
Me?
Yeah.
That's what inspired you?
Yeah, you inspired me. An opportunity came along. I mean, obviously we traveled throughout many different parts of Mexico since we were quite young. Yeah, I mean, the weather, growing up in Canada, she's pretty cold. So the weather was a huge attraction and a great opportunity. And we took it, you know?
Yeah, the weather's obviously a huge factor, and you know, the getting to understand and know the Mexican culture has been amazing.
For sure.
The food has been amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. And for anybody that's new to following, I guess, us, Erin and I were high school sweethearts. So we started dating in February 5th, 1993.
You always remember that day.
Our first date, yeah. So, you know, we've had a lot of life together, a lot of amazing life, and we took a trip to Mexico right after we graduated high school. So
Mazatlan.
We went to Mazatlan. So that was 1995.
A bus loose holiday.
It's called Bus Loose. It was definitely a party trip.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And we thought Mexico was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. You know, we got to dip our toes in the ocean. Went out to a nightclub. I think it was called Bora Bora, maybe.
I think so.
I think it was. And they had like Spider-Man flying around in ropes and stuff. And but all in all, after that trip, we thought Mexico was like right on. It felt right for us as Canadians. We liked the climate. We liked getting the taste of the culture.
Yeah.
I remember learning about Dos Equis beer. I knew what Corona was before, but learned about the double X's. And from that point on, we just started making a commitment. Mm-hmm. And we started traveling back to Mexico every year.
Yep.
So where are some of the other places we went?
We went Puerto Vallarta. My brother got married there. We went there. Loved it.
North of PV, in PV, south of PV, a few different trips.
Yeah. But I think you came here we came here and then you came back and we brought my parents.
Yeah.
And it just kind of hit the check boxes for us. We loved it.
Yeah.
Like Huatulco was it. The
Huatulco was it for us. And before that, though, we traveled to different beach towns in Mexico for about 15 years. Mm-hmm. So pretty much almost everywhere. You know, Cabo, Mazatlan, PV, Manzanillo, Zihuatanejo, Cancun, Playa del Carmen, Tulum, been the Mayan several times. So, you know, we tried out both coasts, and, you know, we landed in Huatulco. A lot of people don't realize actually the very first trip we came, we bought a property. So Watuco really grabbed us that much that we invested, and then one thing led to another, and we made a commitment and moved here full time 8 months later.
Yeah.
So it's been an amazing experience. And Erin, why don't you share a little bit about what your role is now in your life in Mexico?
Yeah, sure. Well, I handle the vacation rental side of our business, making sure that travelers who book with us have an amazing stay, and we provide them with concierge services and just make sure that they have a memorable vacation. I also assist with our property management department with our director, and helping owners to keep their investment in good condition, paying bills, and just providing a good service to both our owners and our guests.
Yeah, you guys do a great job. I'll just say our vacation service is definitely very high level, very white glove, as Erin mentioned, concierge. So we get a lot of repeat bookings.
We do, yeah.
And we give a lot of peace of mind to our owners and investors knowing their properties being well taken care of. So, Erin, why don't you share in your previous life, your Canada life, what did you do for work there, and how was that? How did that prepare you for Mexico?
Oh, goodness. Well, I worked in the energy sector. I worked for EPCOR for almost 11 years, actually.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, I was in a management role and human resources role as well. And I don't know, I think it just helped me be able to work with people. And I mean, I've always been good with people, but just, honed in my skills with working with people, making sure that they have a good experience, whether it's with me, and also, building a team. I think it really helped pave the way to be able to attract good team members, and it shows. We have an amazing team.
Yeah.
You are right, Brent. We always say we only hire 9s and 10s, and it's true. We're successful because of our team. So I think that really helped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, Erin. You've got a lot of experience in management from EPCOR, and you applied that down here. But just for other people listening and following along, you guys all have skills, and there's ways to apply those skills to a life in Mexico. A lot of people asking about how they can work or how they can fit in, and it's hard to have all the answers from the beginning. But I really think just once you make that decision that you're going to do it, things just start falling in. You just say, yes, I'm going to move it. I'm going to make this happen. You manifest it, and you can do it. So
absolutely.
Myself, I was a construction guy back in Canada. So I built a business there. So building a business, you learn a lot about yourself and your strengths and weaknesses. And we were also heavily invested in real estate, buying and selling and building and flipping. And back then, our goal was to own 20 properties by the time we retired. I wasn't real confident I was going to have a pension from the government or anything, also being self-employed. But that all changed with moving to Mexico. So, now I'm really excited because I'm combining those 15 years of construction and real estate investing in Canada to another almost 15 years as a broker in Mexico. So,
you are truly doing what you love to do.
I'm very passionate about what I do. Some people might look at me like I'm a workaholic, but
you are.
I don't know if I don't ever consider myself to be, because if you love what you do, do you really work a day in your life? And
that's right.
I commonly say, build a life you don't need to take a vacation from. So,
you're loving it.
And I do that. Very much. I had a very tough Saturday where I had some clients out on a yacht. So, I suffer through days like that all the time. Yeah, it's rough. It's rough. So anyway, here we are doing our podcast after 15 years in Mexico. So we kind of don't really know what we're doing, and we're not really well rehearsed. So how I thought we could do this is, I think people don't get to see Erin enough. So I had to sweet talk her pretty good on this Valentine's Day to be a part of this, and she's a she's up for the challenge. So thank you so much, Erin, for being here.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And what I'm thinking the idea is Erin and I will meet up every second episode, and we'll share some of our Mexico life experiences. And then the ones in between, I'll host a guest. So we'll have guests from doctors to lawyers to different health practitioners, expats. So please feel free to write in the comments if there's someone you want to see or someone you'd like me to host. Happy to look into that. We'll also send out some surveys to our email lists. So make sure if you're seeing this, make sure you go to our website, mexicoliving.com, and subscribe to the newsletter. And that way you can get our updates, and we can send you out a survey, and you can help us decide what other shows to have. Or
what inquiring minds want to know.
Yeah, what inquiring minds want to know, exactly. So I guess, Erin, looking back, you mentioned we left the country, left Cochrane, and I inspired you to come down here. Mm-hmm. I was all in it. I was looking for a life change. I sold my business, and we ended up driving down.
Yes, we did. Well, yeah. You did.
I drove down, yeah. So I think our first time, we've actually did it twice, mm-hmm. and we drove from Cochrane, Alberta. So that's the second province over from the West Coast, for those who don't know Canada very well. And we drove across the continent. For those just tuning in, we're in Oaxaca and in Huatulco, which is the most southern state in all of Mexico. We actually drove to a little fishing village where we first moved called Porto Angel or Porto Angel. So I'm trying to think back. I believe we did the drive in 12 days, but that was 8 days of driving.
Yes. Intense driving.
Yeah, so I think it was like 58 hours of actual engine time.
A lot of Chevy Avalanche time.
Yeah, I drove a...
Filled to the gills.
Yeah, a big Chevy Avalanche. I actually just got some new high-performance tires on the truck. So... we were bringing down all sorts of stuff. We had lots of sporting goods and
paddle boards on top of the car, bike rack on the back.
Bikes on the back. I've got a couple of TVs stuffed in there. And
couldn't fit a paper clip.
Yeah, the border guy just kind of peeked in and was like, oh.
I don't want to deal with that.
I want nothing to do with that. Yeah, he's like, go on in. And so, talking about Mexican culture, I remember, of course, safety was on our minds a little bit around the border, so we made sure to hit the border nice and early, got our insurance, and then the idea was just to get as far away from the border. We crossed the Nogales after a night in Vegas. We stayed an extra night, I think, in Vegas, but so we drove to our first city, and we were inland still, and I just remember something, although we traveled to Mexico a lot, we were a little bit sheltered resort style, I guess. Sure. So we're trying to prepare ourselves for life in Mexico. We're reading these books and tips and things on culture, if you remember that.
Yep, I do.
Yeah, so the first morning we're in this Mexican diner, and Erin and I are chatting about our strategy to drive on our next leg. And I remember watching this Mexican businessman enter the diner. And he read about this, but I didn't think it was true. But he walked in, he put his feet together, stood tall, and he said, "Buenos dias." And I'm like, it just happened. I'm like, that guy, he wasn't talking to anybody.
The book was real.
The book was real. It wasn't talking to anybody specific, but he greeted the room. Mm-hmm. And so I thought that was pretty cool. That a nice custom. Yeah. Yeah, he's very formal. He greeted the room and went in and had his breakfast. So that was one nice little custom seeing, and I don't see that as much with maybe the younger generation here, but it still happens.
Yeah.
So, is there any customs you've noticed or like or want to share?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, similar to that, when you are passing a table of a group or people eating, to say buen provecho or provecho is such a nice custom, and something we're not used to in Canada. I guess it would be the same as bon appetit,
like
enjoy
bon
your
appetit
meal.
Or enjoy your meal, yeah.
it's not common in where we grew up, and I think people would kind of look at you like you had 3 heads if you did that there. But it's just such a nice custom and such a nice formal way to and tell somebody to enjoy their meal. And I love that. I love the formality. I love that custom. I think it's so polite and courteous, and
it's beautiful.
Another reason I love this country. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, it's very beautiful. And now that you brought that up, thinking about it, it's not something just the seniors and seniors are doing. It's the young people are doing that still as well. Yeah. And we've adopted that, and like to wish everyone a nice meal as we leave the restaurant.
For sure.
It's one of the many ways the Mexican people are so beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. I'd like to say too, something I really appreciated is how Mexico, or especially southern Mexico, Oaxaca, I believe, from my understanding, is on Day of the Dead. Yeah. I say that in Spanish?
Dia de los Muertos.
Dia de los Muertos. So, it's really beautiful because they celebrate those who have passed on a specific day or 2 or 3, end of October and the start of November. And they go out and celebrate life, and it's just a different way to mourn and different way to remember.
To celebrate those who have passed
on. Celebrate. And I think there's actually a belief in the cemetery. There's a lot of mezcal being drank, and
there's offerings of food,
and their past ones actually rise up and are dancing and partying with them throughout the night. So
it's a wonderful tradition.
And we've adapted that into our lives.
Yeah, a lot of people you'll see will build altars in their homes with flowers, marigolds, and bread, pan, and mezcal, and photos of their loved ones. And we did that too we do that in our office and in our home as well.
Home, we adapted that. So
for sure.
It's definitely a great way to remember and celebrate those who are no longer with us.
It is, yeah.
So thinking back to that drive down, I guess, and some of the things we experienced.
So many things.
And there's so many stories to get into, and I just had these big tires on my truck, and my truck's all weighted down with all this stuff. So, once we got south of Mazatlan, we were on the 200 highway, and it's a very windy highway.
You were loving that.
So, you can only go about 50, 60 kilometers an hour. So that's about, 25, 30 miles an hour for our American friends. And I was hitting those curves pretty hard for being in a truck and enjoying my sports tires. But it got on, and it was a bit of a grind, after driving 8 days. So I remember we were in Guerrero, the state, and driving on these windy roads, and all of a sudden I took this on-ramp. It was almost like it was quite a steep incline, and we got up onto a straight highway, and it was a double lane highway. So
you're like, I guess this is awesome.
Yeah, they were redoing the highway there, and I was like, look at this. This is just something. So put my foot down, the accelerator went down, started speeding up, and I'm like, I'm doing about 120 kilometers an hour after days of 50, 60 kilometers an hour. So really, really enjoying it. And I don't know, we drove for quite a while. There's quite a stretch of highway. Mm-hmm. And as I'm driving along, I look and I see this tire on the side of the road. And I passed by it pretty fast, and I was kind of like, wonder if that tire meant something. Well, holy cow, did it mean something? So in a Chevy Avalanche loaded with goods, we literally launched off the highway. We came to the end of the highway, and as steep as it was to climb and get up on it, there was another steep embankment to get down to the old highway. So it was like Dukes of Hazzard.
We were midair.
We had Dukes of Hazzard airborne,
it was like
through the air. Motion. I think there was a few screens, and it literally is replaying in my mind in slow motion. And boom, we land on the ground. All the stuff piled in the back seat flew over our heads.
And all we could do was just laugh.
And we got pulled over. The bike rack was all bent. The bikes were dragging on the back of the
I'm pushing stuff to the back of the truck.
I blew a hose in my air suspension. Man. But the avalanche survived, and we put all this gear back. It never quite fit back right. It was constantly falling on us. But anyway, the truck seemed all right. I had to bungee strap the bike rack together a little bit.
But we learned a lesson that day.
Well, you learned a lesson is when you see something on the road.
Yeah, branches.
It means stuff in Mexico. And
it means slow down. There's something going on ahead.
And we saw this commonly on the curvy roads. If there's a vehicle broken down later, they usually put branches around the curves to warn people to slow down. So this is a life lesson. And that's where living here in Mexico, I kind of coined this acronym to help me and others register in their minds that TIM, this is Mexico. Mm-hmm. And there's just going to be things that aren't the same as in Canada, that aren't the same in the US, and you need to embrace them.
Enjoy it.
And learn from it. So if you see something on the side of the road, just know something's up. Something's happening ahead. And maybe slow down a little bit. Put your hazards on.
For sure. Put your hazards on.
Yeah. So we had stuff constantly falling over us every time we braked. And we learned about the topes was another thing that's just basically speed bumps.
For sure. It slows people down.
They don't quite have the traffic system here. So that was a funny story. And, as a little lesson out of that, as foreigners coming to this country, I think we all have our list of the things, as Erin said, the weather, opportunity, the food, the culture. It's all these things you love and adore about Mexico, why we want to be here, why we want to vacation, move here. But sometimes there's things that are frustrating.
Sure, challenging.
Sometimes there are things we don't understand or a little bit different, but that's when you really got to say TIM.
For sure.
This is Mexico. And
you got to roll with it.
Don't try and change it. Mexico's not going to become Canada.
No. And we don't want that.
Mexico's not going to become US.
No.
And we don't, so we love it here.
We sure do.
We love embracing the culture. I really consider myself to be Mexican. I think there's so many things that just made, as I'm calling this podcast, I was made for Mexico.
We were made for Mexico.
For sure. So I consider myself Mexican. Maybe just not my tongue. That part got left out. But so many other ways.
You get by, Brent May.
Yeah, I get by. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'm glad Erin's with me here today. You'll definitely see Erin again not the next episode, but one half. Next episode, we're going to have a special guest. So make sure you tune in. We'll be airing these every Friday up until near the end of the season. So I'm going to enjoy sharing all the information with you guys about our Mexico lives. And as I said earlier, write on in if there's a topic or maybe a type of person, a profession that you'd like to hear us bring on the show. We're happy to create a list and answer your requests. So at this point, we'll sign off. Thanks so much, everyone, for following along. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate all your support, and really, we really do appreciate everyone. We've developed a lot of fans. We've developed a lot of friends, good people we see year and year again here in Mexico, and we love the fact of how integrated Mexico is. We don't feel ever unsafe. We don't ever feel, that we don't belong. We've been so welcomed by Mexican people. And
we're very blessed.
I used to really take it personal when we moved here, and people were like, "What are you doing down there?" Or saying negative things, and I'm like, the Mexican people are just so hospitable, so welcoming, and thank you so much for making Erin and I feel so welcome.
Thank you.
And
thanks for having me on today.
Yeah.
You're your first guest.
Thanks for being here. So from here, we'll sign off and say adios. And
adios.
We'll see you next Friday.
See you next time.